Never in my life did I think I would have what is called Stockholm Syndrome for a video game. But the Gothic 1 remake abused me and made me feel like shit so many times to the point where I was like, you know what? I love the suck. The suck is fantastic.
Why are you smiling like that?
I just like to smile. Smiling's my favorite.
And then eventually the suck went away and what I was left with was some pretty damn cool gaming experiences. Welcome to the world of Gothic. And right off the bat, I want to thank the folks at thqnordic and Alchemia Interactive for the review code. And right about now, you're probably thinking to yourself, what even is Gothic? The Gothic 1 Remake is a dark fantasy RPG that drops you into a sealed off prison colony where different factions are fighting for power and you have to survive, explore, and you work your way up from nothing. And so you might be listening to that description and go, okay, so I'm like a nobody, but then I become the hero, right? Like I'm the unexpected hero. But this game like kind of turns it on its head, and when they say you're a nobody, they literally mean you are no better than the dirt on the ground, because that's where your body's gonna be after you die a million times.
You're a joke.
And so right off the bat, when I started playing this game, I was genuinely surprised at how many times I got wrecked by the smallest, most basic enemies in the game. And on top of you literally being a nobody to the point where you get killed by everything, you also don't know where to go because you're not given a map. You only have an objective to deliver a scroll to this guy, but you don't know where the guy is. You don't know where the city is that he resides. And so you're just kind of dropped into this situation of just not knowing anything, not knowing what to do, how to do it, or anything like that. And that's just what the essence of Gothic is.
This is
Gothic 1 Remake. And so now you know, in this game, you start out as a nobody. Literally, you just suck fully all the way through. But now we're going to talk about how you get better and improve your core gaming experience when it comes to this game. And it is so unique. And actually, this power scaling is one of the most satisfying power scalings that I've played in a game in a long time, because you earn every inch of gameplay, you earn every inch of discovery, you earn every skill. And that, to me, for some reason, just hit different with Gothic. And so getting right into it, let's talk about the skills.
Nunchuck skills, bow hunting skills.
And as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, you are a nobody. You don't have any skills. You don't know how to wield a sword. You don't know how to shoot a bow. You don't know how to skin most animals. And so these are skills that you can learn from interacting with NPCs who know these skills. And so your path to becoming a more powerful character is exploring the world, finding NPCs with the skills that you want to learn, such as fighting, bow hunting, and skinning animals. And then given you have enough money and skill point upgrade things that you get from leveling up, you'll be able to learn that skill. And these skills do drastically change the gameplay. Like, you'll move faster, you'll learn how to roll and dodge and weave through combat and all these different things. And so it leaves you feeling like you're part of one of those Rocky movies back in the day where Rocky would train super hard to eventually beat the big bad at the end. And that's how it feels here, because you suck, you're the worst, and then you learn these skills and you go out and you just lay down the law. If you've made it this far in the video and you've enjoyed the content, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really does help the channel. And now it's time to talk about this world that Gothic 1 Remake is set in. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, Gothic is set in a prison colony called the Valley of Mines. And you might be looking at that name thinking, oh, this isn't a big area, it's just a mine, you know, you're just in a mine. But no, that's not the case. This area that is encapsulated by this barrier that keeps all living things inside is huge. It has mountains, it has swamps, it has everything in between there too. And so you're left with this giant open world to explore, full of caves and full of ancient temples and enemies that are unique to each area. And on top of that, you have NPCs that have a set schedule that essentially makes them feel more alive, because at 8 a.m. you're going to be able to find the map maker at the very front of the castle, but then at 8 p.m. he's probably going to be going to bed and you're not going to be able to interact with him until morning. And so you have to plan out these interactions with these NPCs based around the time of day, and so you have to learn these people's schedules, and it just makes this game feel alive because these people have lives. They're doing things. They're not just going to be doing the typical NPC stuff where you look at them and then they're just kind of like interacting with nothing or looking off into the distance and not actually looking at anything. These people are doing stuff. They're up to things. They're going out and mining and coming back and doing all of these different activities. And so what you're left with is a world that feels alive and feels immersive. And on top of these people having their own schedules, if any of them die for the various reasons, including you killing them, they are gone forever.
No! No!
So any skills that they had, any store wares that they might have sold to you are gone and not accessible anymore because that person has moved on to the spirit world. And early on in my playthrough, I actually ran into this specific scenario where I could have learned how to ride the little scavenger dinosaurs to move across the map quicker, but I may or may not have played a part in dragging a pack of wolves into this guy's camp and getting him killed. So, you know.
Oops, my bad.
And to be fair, up to this point, I'd been using the NPCs to help me fight the enemies because they were so overpowered. And I had found success in getting some help from the NPCs. But this guy, you know, like 8 wolves is just a little too much for him to handle. And so he ended up punching his ticket to the afterlife a little sooner than we had initially thought. And it's consequences like this that essentially make this world feel alive and more immersive. And on top of that, the dialogue that these NPCs have is just very well written. It feels like you're talking to a real person, because in some instances, if you end up pissing them off by saying the wrong thing, then they will attack you and not like you anymore, and you'll fail whatever mission you're trying to do. And like in real life, it's not an outright failure, right? These people just don't like you and they'll just start attacking you. And so you can actually escape and then live with the consequences of your actions at that point. And so this is definitely a game where I felt like save scumming was a major issue for me, because in this instance, I wanted my life to go a specific way. And so anytime I got robbed by an NPC and they stole my best shit, or I had a dialogue option that went awry and I didn't like that, I ended up loading a previous save. And I don't usually do that in games, but in this game, because it's so unforgiving and it takes a long time to earn your gear, to earn the reputation, to get all the things, I did find myself actually save scumming a ton when it came to those decisions and those battles that happen.
I've dabbled in being a bitch.
And that leads perfectly into the combat. Gothic's combat is broken up into 3 parts: melee, magic, and ranged weapons. And getting right into it, let's talk about the melee combat. I was genuinely surprised at how in-depth this melee system was. And what I mean by this is there's a different button for every direction that you want to hit from stabbing to hitting an overhead attack, or doing a right to left slash or a left to right slash. And these are important because you can create combos that make your guy do more damage and have a chance at a critical hit on the enemy. And on top of that, different enemies react to different attacks, and so sometimes an overhead strike will knock the enemy to the ground, and other times a stab will be the thing that like takes them out and makes them staggered. And so you're just constantly making sure that you're doing the best case scenario for the enemy that you're fighting, while also dodging and weaving and getting used to the combat. And then when it comes to trying to hit enemies that are flying and all that fun stuff, this is when the magic and the long range weapons come into play. And I want to put the magic and the long range weapons in the same bucket because it kind of accomplishes the same thing. So you can shoot fire bolts or icicles or arrows, and it for the most part does the same amount of damage. I will say that my arrow damage is a lot higher because I am a master archer. I've gained the skill of master archer, and so my archery is just like insane.
Because I am better.
At what?
Everything.
But the thing about the magic and the arrows is they're a limited supply. So you have a mana bar for your magic and you have a limited amount of arrows that you need to go and purchase every single time. In the early game, having a bow or using your magic is something that's extremely powerful, but you're limited to the amount of times that you can use it. And so that's when the melee combat comes into play and you just get really good at the melee combat. And this combat experience, just so you know, it gets better and better as you get further and further into the game because of that skills part that I talked about earlier. And it's just going to become a better experience overall as you put more time into this game. And that's the overall thing about this game. That's the theme. The more time you put in, the more you get out of it. If you only put in a couple of hours into Gothic, you're not going to like this game. This game is going to suck because your character sucks. He doesn't have any skills, no abilities, no anything. But as you explore the world and expand on your skills and learn all these different things, you're all of a sudden going to be having this amazing combat experience, this amazing interactive world, and all these different things going on. And you're just going to be like, holy shit, this game actually slaps so hard. And so now we've come to the point in this video where you decide for yourself whether or not Gothic 1 Remake is a game for you. If you're looking for a dark fantasy world with in-depth systems, with a game that doesn't hold your hand in any way, shape, or form, and you're willing to put in a good amount of time to get to the point where this game is truly enjoyable, then I would say Gothic 1 Remake is one that you might enjoy. But as I said, if you're not willing to put in a good amount of time, I would say probably like 5 to 6 hours to get your feet under you in this game, then I don't know if you truly would enjoy this game. And I'm gonna be real with you guys, I did not like this game when I first started playing it because it just took too long for me to get where I wanted to be. But as I put more time in and experienced what Gothic truly had to offer, I walked away enjoying my experience and having a hell of a good time. And so all in all, this is one of my favorite games of 2026, and I hope to see you in the Valley of Mines. Catch you guys in the next one.